What's up, everybody? I am Johnny Christ, and this is Drinks with Johnny. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. Another great one here for you today, guys. I'm super excited, and don't forget, if you're watching right here on YouTube, head over to anywhere you get your podcast and find Drinks with Johnny there, too. I know you got eyes, and sometimes these conversations go a little longer, and, you know, you could go listen to it instead of having to watch it the whole time, you know. But I will say, my next guest, you're probably going to want to watch the whole time. I've been a fan of his since I saw him on 3 Sheets. I'm joined by the Indiana Jones of alcohol consumption, Zane Lamprey.
That is amazing.
How are you doing, man?
You started talking about this amazing show. I'm like, who's on it? What do we got? Like, I want to watch it. Oh, it's me. Oh, okay. Well, I'll still listen.
Oh man, well, thanks. Seriously, thanks for being on the show. I mean, right off the bat, your show 3 Sheets kind of inspired me to do my show a lot.
Wow.
So I appreciate that. Before we go any further, though,
yes.
I see that you've got a can there. I've got my beer here. What are you drinking on tonight?
So this is really cool. So for my tour, which we'll get into in a little bit, we're doing collaboration beers with breweries across the country. And so I have a few friends at different breweries that we're doing collaborations with in anticipation of that, just to make sure like we work out the kinks. And I mean, just to have some fun, because why not? We're not making any money from the collaborations. It all goes to the brewery. And then there's, how do I turn texts off on my computer? I have no idea. And then, so that's going to happen.
Someone can comment below. Someone comment below and let us know how to turn those off.
Yeah. They're just like, you guys are so awesome. And so a portion of proceeds go to local animal rescues. And so on this one, so this proceeds from this beer go to Emerald City Pet Rescue, which is in Seattle, which is where Lowercase is based. And when I'm doing my shows, I like to make it to the end of the show. So, you know, I can't really be drinking a bunch of like 9%, you know, imperial stouts or whatever. So the collaborations we're doing for this tour are session beers. At least I hope they are. You know, we're still talking about a bunch of them. And so this is a lager, but it's hopped like an IPA. So it's like it's got citra hops and whatever. So it's a very like juicy, hoppy lager. Mm-hmm. And I opened it as I was walking through the kitchen. My wife's like, what is that? That smells fantastic. It's just like, it's so floral, but yet it's kind of light. What's the ABV? You know, it's 5.7. That's maybe not a session beer.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's on the edge right there, I would say.
It is on the edge. Yeah. So I don't even know how the lager ends up being that high of an ABV, but anyway, it's fantastic. Yeah. That's what I'm drinking. What are you drinking?
Oh, dude, I'm glad you asked. I'm drinking, funny enough, from another brewery in Seattle, and we didn't even play on that, called Georgetown. This is the Bodhisattva. Have you had that before?
Got it. I haven't had it. I've heard of it. So what exactly is it?
So it's an IPA. I believe it's, I got the keg. So long story long, my my neighbor's son lives in Seattle with his family, and every time he comes down, he just buys the keg straight from the brewery and brings one down for me. So I had this one. Yeah, it's insane. So I got the pony keg just right up here, and to me, I think I don't know the ABV like I said, but it is it's an IPA. It's really delicious. It's got some citrus to it too. A lot of citrus hops on it, and that's kind of my go-to. I like a lot of citrus hops. So actually, your beer sounds very, very up my alley. Like I would love to try that.
I would imagine ours are going to taste very similar. I'm sorry, I'm just intrigued by because in college, you know, when we went out to get kegs for parties, mm-hmm. it was what's cheapest. You know what I mean?
Of course.
We weren't like. I think they probably had them, right? Like, you know, you could go and get like a Newcastle or Sam Adams or whatever it is, but. Sierra Nevada, but we would just be like Milwaukee's best, Coors Light, whatever was cheapest. So if like someone going and getting like a keg of craft beer is just like so amazing.
I love it.
And how long does it last you have a kegerator?
Yeah, I have a kegerator. And it holds 2 pony kegs or 1 full barrel.
Wow.
So I always just do 2. I'll usually do something lighter and then something heavier on it. I don't know if you could probably see it back there. But yeah, and then there's there's a Mr. Kegs right by my son's My Gym class. So if I do fill up right there, I drop him off and then go hunting for some craft beer.
That's amazing.
It's pretty fun. You got kids?
And so in the kegerator, it's pressurized, right?
Yeah.
And
CO2.
And so does it last for like a month?
Longer than that.
Wow.
It could last like 6 months. Like a single
Wow.
keg in there lasts about 6 months. Yeah. I've put it to the test.
Yeah, I should know about this, but is there like a CO2 system in there?
Yeah, there's a CO2 tank in there.
Okay.
And you just make sure you keep it up. I mean, I've only had to refill it once, and I've had this for 5 years. So it lasts pretty good. Oh, wow. Yeah. So I've only had to replace one tank.
That is badass.
Yeah,
I was doing during the pandemic, we were doing things to stay busy, and I was doing like a live every Friday. I was doing like a Instagram, Facebook live, where I would just get beers from across the country. It's just like I have a lot of brewery friends. I'm like, hey, anyone wants to send me beer? I'll talk about it in my live. The thing is, I was getting great beer, but I was like running out of stuff to talk about, like myself. Like, okay, well, what did I do this week? I sat around and watched Tiger King, but I got so much beer, I needed to get like a beer fridge in the garage. And so, and I don't know if you tried to buy like a fridge during the pandemic, but like it was like fridges and bicycles and toilet paper and like weights, like weight sets for working out. You could not find. So I had to go and buy like a bigger one than I would have gotten. And now it's in the garage, which is a garage. It's not like a man cave. But whenever I get brewery stickers, I put stickers on there. That's cool. It drives my wife nuts. And that encourages me to put more stickers.
Absolutely. No, that's great.
Anyone who's married understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I did a little bit of the live stuff too when we were sitting around. I think one week I went live 3 times on our YouTube channel. I don't know. I was just bored. And I just I call up my buddies. I'm like, you're not doing anything today. Hop on a Zoom call with me,
Yeah. But it was always like, it just wasn't as like sharp and, like it was delayed and people are jumping in. I don't know. Yeah. It was fun. But I tell you what, like I'm going on this tour. I'm going to 80 breweries. 75 are locked down. We have about 5 more. We're locking down like St. Louis, Seattle, Portland, and a few other cities. But I'm going to be doing my stand-up at 80 breweries, like in person, traveling around the country. And like, I just can't tell you how like excited I am just to get out and do it,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think everybody is. And let's get right into that. I know that you got your new brewery tour going on, as you just talked about. I had a few questions about it. I mean, as I said at the top of the show, I know you most from 3 Sheets, and I have not seen your stand-up before, so I'm not going to fake the funk and say that I have. What can I expect? What can I expect if I get out to one of these breweries?
So that is a great question that I don't get asked a lot, and that is a question that everyone should say is like, all right, I'm coming to the show. What is it? Yeah. So when I did my last big stand-up tour was Drinking Made Easy. It was about 10 years ago. And I'd finished shooting 4 seasons of 3 Sheets, and I was starting to shoot Drinking Made Easy for Mark Cuban's HDNet channel. Mm-hmm. And so the summer we were shooting Drinking Made Easy, the show, we were doing live shows at night. So we shot 24 episodes during the days and did 51 like live shows at night. So TV during the day, stage shows at night. And I couldn't very well on the Drinking Made Easy tour go up and tell stories about 3 Sheets because it's like, well, you're talking about the old show as you're kind of getting the new show going. So these are stories about 3 Sheets, like the time I was in Russia getting drunk with these Russian guys at some communist flat at the top of one of those tenement buildings.
I saw that episode.
Okay, yeah, and then but the thing you didn't see, so I won't tell the whole story because it's kind of long, but like I was talking about like things like traditions and stuff like that, and they were trying to be like, oh, those are old, that's just stuff you see in movies or American movies about Russia. That's not how it is and whatever. And then the more they drank, the more they were like, well, yeah, we do that, and yeah, we do that. And so after the because one of the things I said was, I heard it's a tradition that when you open a bottle of vodka with friends, that you finish it. Oh, no, this is crazy. You don't do this. This is old Russian movies. Don't listen to this. This is bullcrap. And I was like, okay. And then we finished the bottle, you know? And so, and right when we finished the bottle, I was like, turn to the producer and she's like, great job. And I hear behind me, they open another bottle.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, okay, like I'm in pretty good shape right now. Meaning like I'm 3 sheets already.
Yeah.
And so do I like embrace this and hang out with these drunk Russians in some, crappy cold apartment? Or do I just like say, yeah, let me go home, get a good night's sleep because I got to do it again tomorrow. And in this case, I stayed. And the guy that was like, no, this is all bullcrap. We don't do that. He's like, hold on, I get something. He runs across the hall and he comes back, kicks open the door with an AK-74 above his head.
Whoa.
So an AK-47 was invented in 1947.
Yes.
The AK-74, the Kalashnikov, was invented in 1974. And this guy is holding it like a Civil War musket or just some inner, thing. Like, no, dude, they're still using those in like, conflict zones. And he thought it was like an old relic, So
that's hilarious.
There's a whole scene with the machine gun. And I go into it in my stand up. And then at the end, we submit that episode to the network. And the network is like, yeah, it's great. Like, this is we love this. I'm like, yeah, it was great. They're like, yeah, it was great. Whose idea was it to bring out a fucking machine gun? Because we can't use that in the show. So that all got like cut out. And so you that's the one thing we shot it, but you'll never see it because they're like, you can't have machine guns and vodka. So, those kinds of stories about me screwing stuff up, stories about my buddy Steve McKenna, who's my best friend and really sidekick in the shows. And, so those kinds of stories and stuff. And are you going to learn something? You're always going to learn something. That's just kind of what I build into my stuff. But the objective out there is have a good time, have some laughs. We have a local comedian in every place. We're doing a collaboration beer. Like this is stand up, but it's a party.
Yeah. So. I love the idea. I mean, that sounds great. I'm definitely going to show up. And everybody, real quick, we'll plug it real quick. You can get tickets for these, as I understand, at ZaneLamprey.com, correct?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So everyone head over there.
You email, you let me know what show you want to go to, and I'll send you some tickets.
Oh, I appreciate that, Zane. I really do.
Because you're down south. Are you near, do you know where Gun Whales is? Gun Whale Ales?
I'm not familiar, actually.
That might be further south. Or wait, how about LA Ale Works in Hawthorne?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's not far. I could get out to that one.
Yeah. That's the first show.
Oh, so that'll be like the maiden voyage. I like it.
Well, it's going to be weird. So like normally I would go to like maybe do some small shows. Like last time I did like some small shows inland California. Like Bakersfield and Modesto and like just like smaller markets just to work out my material. So if I was crappy, no one would know except for them. And this time, we're doing some shows and like I'm doing some at like Pocock, which is an amazing name, brewery up in Santa Clarita and Laverne and Alasta. And those are like 200-300 people events.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I have a fire pit that I built in front of my house. During the pandemic, that was one of the good things that came of it, a nice gas fire pit. And I'm having friends over starting tomorrow, like 4 to 6 friends running through my routine, getting it going. So that by the time I get to the first show, I have some momentum.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I've had a lot of comedians. I've spoken to a lot of comedians over the last couple of years I've been doing this show. And it's always interesting to me how they prep for their stand-ups, like everyone has it's a similar process, but always a little different than, as you said, you haven't been able to really get out there and rehearse a lot of this stuff. So you're just going to do it at your house. I mean, that's got to be a little bit of are you a little nervous about that? Or do you think, it's going to go pretty well and you just get all the kinks worked out now?
The nerves haven't really hit me. I'm in June, I'm doing Florida. Let's see, June 14th, I think, is my first show in Florida. And then I'm like, start with Intuition Ales in Jacksonville, and then head down Orlando, Tampa, Clearwater, Bradenton, Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale, and just kind of do a lot of shows and a lot of big shows. And no, I mean, look, I was supposed to do this tour last year.
Yeah.
So I do know the material and I know the stories, but the fun for me is like, when a certain crowd kind of they kind of give you an indication of what they want. Like they laugh at certain things, whereas other crowds laugh at other things. And then the riffing is the fun part of like, oh, you guys, and this is sort of the internal, is like, oh, you guys like that. Well, let me tell you this story that I wasn't planning on telling you because this is kind of crazy or whatever. So it'll be interesting. Like that's how the, as opposed to like music, which is like, or like a play where you're memorizing a certain thing and you may change up the set list, whatever. But with mine, it's like the first show and the last show are going to be so different just because it's an evolving thing. So, but it doesn't, it's just a weird situation that I'm not able to practice it like I would normally.
Yeah.
Maybe I go to a comedy club that I do 10 minutes, then I do another 10 minutes and just kind of work it through. Like, no, this is like, boom, here's the hour.
It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to check that out.
Yeah.
You mentioned your co-host Steve though, and this kind of goes back to what your stand-up is going to be from your describing it right now on the Zane Lamprey show podcast. Also, sometimes you call it Zane's World, but your co-host Steve is on there, and you guys were doing the Drinking Made Easy. You were going back and doing a lot of that. And you guys were kind of discussing those shots.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like during the pandemic, we couldn't create new stuff, right? That was of decent quality.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I have all the high def episodes because my company produced them of Drinking Made Easy, and I also had all the high def episodes of 3 Sheets. Why don't I every week put out a new episode? I'll do behind the scenes like commentary and all this kind of stuff. But the catch is it like it just took like a day to prepare it and a day to do it and a day to edit it. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't give 3 days of my time to like put that up. The other part of it was like, I didn't want to live in the past too much. I don't mind telling these stories. I love telling these stories, but I don't want every podcast to be about, hey, remember that show I did 10 years ago? Here's a funny story. And then it's always like going through, and there were crazy stories. And the other side of it is that about like 18, 19 months ago, Steve stopped drinking.
Yeah, I heard this.
And he did it like, the legitimate way. And so he's kind of like, Steve did some magically, wonderfully stupid stuff. You know what I mean? When we were out there drinking and he just like doesn't want to talk about it. When he was drinking, he didn't mind. And now that he's not drinking, it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, Steve, you did do it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. You know what I mean? Because the behind the scenes of every episode is dumb shit that Steve did. That's literally like, it's just like, Steve would just do like crazy stuff.
There's one in every crowd, right? There's one in every group.
There's one in every group.
I might be that one in my group. I don't know.
Here's the thing. Here's the rule. We have found out that if you don't know who the Steve McKenna of your group it is, it's because you are that.
I'll take it. I'll wear it as a badge of honor.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'll tell you that this story. So we were shooting Drinking Made Easy in Houston, and we were at this like farm. This guy's like, you got to go to this barbecue place. I'm going to call them up. It's my buddy, whatever, go there. It's amazing. And so half the crew was like, yeah, we're tired. We're not really hungry. We're going to go to bed. And Mel, who's my wife and who she produced the show, and Steve were like, well, we kind of felt obligated to go, but we were excited, but like we weren't really that hungry, but whatever. So we went to this amazing barbecue restaurant. And we get there, and the waiter comes up, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, the chef is a fan. He'd love to like just, give me the menus. He's just going to send some stuff out for you." We're like, "Okay, this is great, awesome." Yeah. So he sends out 3 entrees, and we eat them, and then 3 more entrees come out, and then 3 more, and 3 more, and I'm not kidding you, 3 more.
Jesus.
To the point where we were like, I had to unbutton my pants, and then we're sweating from we got the meat sweats,
Oh man.
And so we're just like stuffed, and we're just kind of taking a bite and moving the food around the plate just to look like we touched it because we just felt bad.
Yeah.
So the waiter comes over, and he's like, he has a menu, and he writes on it. He's like, by the way, he crossed off 3 items of the 20 or whatever it was and said, these are the only things that you didn't get because we just didn't have them. We're like, wow, this was amazing. Thank you so much. He's like, yeah, and I'll just leave this, leaves the bill. And we're like, okay, whatever, and so we opened it and we expected it to be like, at least a little bit discounted because we didn't order the food. And quite frankly, who sits down and orders 18 entrees, Yeah. And so it was $450.
Jesus, that's not a hookup at all.
No, exactly. So I'm like, and my wife's like, you know what? Let me just go talk to him. It's no big deal. I'll just talk to the manager. It's fine. Like, we don't want a freebie.
No.
Usually in those situations, they're like, here, it's $50, and then we give $100 to the waiter, and then like everyone's happy, and we post about it on social media, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But we weren't looking for it. We just were just kind of surprised. And so Steve, Steve has a lot of nicknames, and when he gets drunk, we call him Shogun. And the reason we call him Shogun is because I learned when I was in Japan, they make this special chair for a Shogun. So a Shogun in Japan was like a general that was born into that position. It was very much like of the emperor. So he was kind of like royalty, and they were very arrogant, and they were supposed to be arrogant. So the Shogun's chair had one arm that you would rest on, and you'd hang the other arm and just kind of lean back, like kind of like just to show how many shits you gave,
Too cool for school.
Exactly. And so Steve becomes this way when he drinks. Fine. So he's like, guys, no. Don't talk to come here. Don't talk to the manager. Give me it. I got it. He puts his credit card in, hands it, thank you. And so, the guy walks off and we're like, Steve, you didn't have to do that. He's like, come on, you guys do a lot for me. I'm going to buy it. It's not a big deal. You guys buy me stuff all the time. You pay me to be on the show, like whatever. Okay, fine. And so then we went back to the kitchen because the chef is like, the waiter's like, hey, do you mind going back to the kitchen? Because the chef wants to shotgun a beer with you guys.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, sure. Here we are, like stuffed.
You're so
like,
full, meat sweats and everything. Yep. Shucking in a beer sounds like the worst idea.
It's the worst idea when you have no room in your body. So we went back, and of course he's got tall boys like Miller Lite, MTD tall boys. Shotgun them, did it, took a picture, left, and we leave the parking lot, and I popped. It all came out. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. And so there's your money. So we get back to the hotel, wake up the next morning, and Steve is sitting there in the lobby of the hotel, like kind of just looking defeated. And we're like, Steve, what's wrong? He's like, well, my wife saw the credit card bill, and she says I got to get you guys to pay me back, And we're like, Steve, he's like, yeah. He's like, so, if you guys can just, maybe like Venmo me the $600. Like, Steve, it was $450. He's like, yeah, I'm a pretty good tipper. Just like, anyway.
Those
are the stories. Like, those are the Steve McKenna stories. Like, like
it happened.
You
can't
make
it
up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's awesome, man. I want to get into a couple more things you started to touch before the internet. We had a technical difficulty, rather.
Yes,
you were mentioning. It's totally fine. We always it's different that it's the guest's internet going out. It's always mine usually.
For a change, yeah.
But you were about to mention your what do you call it, the premium travel apparel of Adventure. With the 3 in it. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you about that because I saw somewhere not only two things. One, I think that some of the apparel has a beverage pocket in them. So I want to ask about that. Yeah. I love that idea. And I like the idea behind the 3. You guys are planting trees and everything. It's a really cool thing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Yeah,
and I'm going to show you something too because I just got this today from a manufacturer. So yeah, Adventure Adv3nture. The first E is a 3 because we plant 3 trees. Anybody who wants to check it out, just go to zanelamprey.com. There's a link there. Cool. Just if you can't spell my name, you join the party. Just Google.
Don't worry,
you can and Google it. You'll be fine.
Zane Lamprey will be right here. Don't worry, we'll put a nice little graphic on it.
Look at that! Oh my God, that's amazing. When I started traveling, I would often go from a warm place to a cold place, warm days, cold nights, and I had to like pack so much stuff because I just didn't know what I was going to need. And I just was like, there has to be some like innovative travel apparel, like stuff made for people that travel. Like
Yeah.
Not like, gimmicky kind of all these zippers and pockets and all that kind of stuff, but like just something that looks sleek and nice. And I couldn't find it. And so I started making stuff for myself. And then people were like, what is that? Like my crew was like, what is that? We get whatever. So then I just ended up doing a Kickstarter for it, for my Adventure hoodie, which ended up being the largest, the most funded apparel Kickstarter ever.
Wow.
And that launched the brand. And so now we do like parkas and windbreakers and flannels. And, right now we're kind of out of everything. The pandemic was just weird in manufacturing, but this fall, all of our new products come out.
Awesome.
And we tried to switch to American-made apparel. It was really important for me on many levels, and it's the levels that people can assume, but like it's like making stuff here, the communication with people, and then whatever. So we moved out all of our manufacturing to the U.S. and the level of workmanship, the partners that we were working with, everything just it wasn't the same. And then we started doing the studies on it to find out about the actual carbon neutrality of everything, and find that actually making our stuff with responsible, environmentally conscious manufacturers in other countries way better for the environment than what we were trying to do here. So now we tried to make everything in the U.S. Now we're going back with all of our stuff. And I just got this today. This is a sample of our new jacket. So our windbreakers sold out really quick.
Okay.
Because they have beverage pockets. So this right here is a beer koozie. I could put the jacket on, but like you can then walk around with a beer in your pocket, keep it cool, keep your hands free. And then all of our inner layers zip into this. So it's like if you have one of our sweatshirts, you can zip it into this, and you can turn this into like a ski jacket.
Wow.
So,
okay. I like that.
When you're packing, you kind of keep it light,
Yeah.
But what's really amazing about this jacket is that this jacket is made from 100% recycled water bottles.
What?
So they recycle water bottles, they turn it into fabric, and then they turn it into this amazing, obviously waterproof jacket. People might be like, what are they using? And the plastics that they're using, like, the same plastic that you drink from, it's safe enough to drink from, we're making jackets from. It's good. Yeah. And the waterproofness, the breathability, the fabrics and everything are amazing. And I just got that shipped to me like an hour ago. It's the first time I've seen it and held it in my hands. So it's a product that comes out in like probably October.
Awesome. Well, everyone could go find Adventure. There's a Instagram for it too, right? @Adventure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yep, exactly.
Everyone go check that out. We'll put that little graphic there. I think that's really cool of you to be so environmentally conscious on it too. That's really cool.
It's kind of something. If anybody who knows me or follows me, like whatever, just kind of knows where I stand on the environment and my wife and I have a nonprofit pet rescue. We are always, and we have about, we may or may not have, let's say 15 animals in this house right now, of various levels. And then we're always going around picking up strays, dropping them off at other fosters and stuff like that. Wow. So that's kind of, like I said, that's a nonprofit that we do. And it's just that and the environment. And really, like, I don't know if one person can make a difference. They can certainly try to, but with us sort of just educating people and just people knowing what we stand for is very important to us. So it's I'm not saying that anybody else is like this, but it's not lip service when we say that we're like trying to like change things, be as environmentally conscious as we can. Like we're eliminating plastic bags for our shipping. Like we're eliminating any plastic pieces and stuff like that. I'm going to show it. By the way,
it's really cool.
We had Pumpkin Patch Pet Rescue, and this is Pumpkin.
What's up? Cute.
There's never an animal that is further than 2 feet from me at any time.
Did you have animals growing up too? Is that something, or is that something that you and Mel just started doing? Or have you been around
we did. It's funny that you say that. I've never been asked that question. You got two gold stars. But like when I was growing up, my dad would come home with injured animals, what seems like every week. Okay. Whether it was a turtle crossing the road or a squirrel or a groundhog or just anything that was like, anytime he saw something, and we're the same way, anytime we saw something that needed help, we stopped. It doesn't matter where we're going, what we're going to be late for. We've missed flights because of it, like, nope, we got to do it. And so, I think that's kind of how I grew up, and it's just something that became important to me. And, and thankfully I meet a wife, a partner who cares about it as much as me. So it'd be weird if she didn't,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, obviously you guys have a lot in common too. I obviously don't know Mel. This is the first time you and I are meeting. But it seems from like your social posts and stuff, you guys like to hike and hang out, and she likes to drink with you. So, that's a plus.
We did yesterday. I just posted this in my stories. I don't think I posted a photo, and I should have. So, and you're in LA. Have you heard of Bighorn Mine up near Wrightwood? It's called Mountain High. There's a ski resort called Mountain High.
I do know that. Yeah, I've heard of that. And I don't mean to correct you, but if you give me a lot of LA stuff, I don't know it. I'm actually in Huntington Beach. So I work in LA a lot, but I don't know the hikes. You don't consider,
okay, well, how about Southern California?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Because I think of LA as sort of just like a big bubble, or like,
totally. I was just, and I didn't mean to correct you there. I'm just talking about the fact, because I don't know where the hiking is out there or anything like that.
Well, this hike is not actually in LA.
Oh, okay.
It's about an hour away, and it's a mine, an abandoned mine. It was the one point the largest gold mine in all of California before. Oh, wow. Was it before the gold rush? And so, or right after, anyway, my wife keeps passing by, but,
she could come in and say hi too.
Like, no, I was at the gym. I'm not wearing makeup. I can't do it. So we, anyway, it's a mine, it's an abandoned mine. And it kind of had like some bars and a gate that were protecting it, but now those things are open and you can go in. And my buddies and I went in with headlamps and stuff yesterday, and we went in for about a half mile before one of them, I won't say his name because his name is Chris Wisdom, got a little too scared and had to turn around. And so, but it was just like, how did I not know about, I've lived out here for 26 years. How did I not know there was an abandoned mine you can go and explore?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that shit. You're dropping a lot of knowledge on me. I think that's why I like, that's what I loved about Three Sheets and of course, Drinking Made Easy. I loved watching you travel around and do this. I did an episode that we kind of stole a little bit of your style on early on the show. Before the pandemic, I went to this place, Lost Spirits. Have you been to Lost Spirits yet in LA?
Is that the thing in downtown LA?
Yeah, the one in the art district, and is
that like the Willy Wonka thing?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, people keep telling me about it, but it was like right before the pandemic, and we were going to go do it. But that I know that's something I have to do.
Absolutely.
It was amazing?
It was amazing. It was absolutely awesome. The owners came out and walked me through a part of it, and then it was really, really educational until I got too drunk, and then I had to and I didn't remember what he was saying. I was like, oh shit! Like I didn't know how much booze we were gonna be drinking on the tour, to be honest. And
so just the booze that was offered on the tour.
Yeah, I don't know if they gave me a little extra or not because we had the camera.
Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah,
but that makes for the most entertaining shows. My wife and I go every year. Obviously not this year because it's not happening. I'm on tour, and not last year because of the pandemic. But before that, to a thing called Tales of the Cocktail, and it's in New Orleans, and it's where all of the like mixologists and cocktail people and spirits companies, and they go down to New Orleans in the summer where it would usually be kind of like empty, and kind of take over the French Quarter. And there's all these like pop-ups, and weirdness is like one of the things that people like, like Hendrick's Gin would make like a weird maze, and all this kind of stuff.
That's
so
rad.
all that stuff that's like, like that tour, which again is, by the way, is there a boat involved with Lost Spirits?
Yes, there is. There's a boat that goes through.
So amazing.
You can watch it after this if you want to know anything more about it. Go to the Drinks with Johnny YouTube channel and you could find it right there. It's from our first season, and I go through it. It's pretty fun. I even had to do, like, for the first time ever in my life, voiceovers like post. And the first time I did it, it was so bad. My director sent it back to me. He was like, "Do you know what you sound like?" And I was like, ugh. And then I had to, because I was just so stiff about it, You've done them forever now. I mean, there's an art to it, to make it sound like you're
talking
an art there.
And when I would do my voiceover for 3 sheets, the voiceover sessions would take 2 hours.
Wow.
Which is weird because it was only a half an hour show. But I would do it, and then I would do it again because I'd kind of loosen up, and I want the editor to have options or whatever. And at the end, I would have to go out to the lobby of where we record the voiceover and just sit down for 15 minutes because I was winded. I was very animated in my voice. If anyone listens to 3 sheets, it's like, why is this guy yelling?
Well, that's what makes it entertaining. It's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
So you have a vast knowledge of alcohol that you've, through all your tours. You got your book. Let's talk about your book real quick. I ordered it. It hasn't come yet, so I'm not going to fake the funk again.
Where did you order the book from?
I got it from my producer got it. And he said it's going to take a while. I don't know if he got it off eBay or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I know you can get it in certain places. Oh, that's so funny. I forgot that I was going to try to, because they had those at the publisher and I was going to go and buy those because I don't know where they can get those anymore. Sorry, book, 3 sheets book.
Yeah, 3 sheets. It's got the longest title too. 3 sheets, drinking made easy. 6 continents, 15 countries, 190 drinks, and 1 mean hangover.
Yeah. That was,
I can't wait to get it in my hands though, because like I did say, my producer is the one who was like, he helps me out with putting everything together, notes and just research and stuff. And he was like, "We got this book coming, but it's not going to be there on time, so you're going to have to ask him about it."
I love that. I wish you would have mentioned something. I would have found a way to get one and sent it to you. But I love that you got it. That was writing a book is just so much more work than anyone thinks about. It was just because it was kind of like it's kind of like an extension of 3 sheets, because whenever they turn a book into a movie, they just lose so much.
Yeah.
And so when we kind of turned an episode like Champagne, for example, into a show, so much stuff ended up on the cutting room floor. I think we figured out it's you get a minute of show for every hour that you shoot.
Yeah.
Just the way that everything kind of simmers down. And so there was just some more stories to be told, but also a lot more information that it's a 24-minute episode. We couldn't fit it in there. So the book kind of goes through a lot of that stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to, as I said, and something else that's still being sold. I hope it's not news to you, is your rum, Monkey Rum.
Yes. So I'm not with the rum anymore.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, but I hope that it does amazing.
I can read between the lines on that.
Yeah, you're welcome to. That's fine. Yeah.
Rum's a good one. What is your favorite spirit though? I know you do a lot of the breweries now, but what's your favorite go-to? If you're gonna make a cocktail or just have something neat.
It's interesting. And by the way, 3rd gold star, because I don't get asked that specific question.
That's surprising to me. The other 2 didn't surprise me as much, but that one surprises me. You're talking to Zane Lamprey and you don't ask him what his favorite spirit is.
But it's the way that it's just the little bit of way that you're asking, because most people are like, what's your favorite episode, or what's your favorite place to drink, or what's your favorite beer? And you're like, but here's the amazing thing. And I'll circle back to that question. The amazing thing about someone's like, what's your favorite episode? Where would you go and drink? You're like, how do I choose between Champagne, France, Ireland, Fiji, Australia, Japan, China, all these different places, all these different Oktoberfests. How do you compare those to one another? You can't. They're all amazing experiences in their own right. And It's the same thing with beers. People are like, what's your favorite craft beer? favorite craft beer. What would be the audacity if I would have one? There's so many amazing ones out there.
Yeah.
And for me, the thing that I love so much about craft beer is that when you go someplace, you get to drink a little bit of the local flavor. Like, you get to go someplace. By the way, every place has a local brewery, which is amazing, right? So every small town, every big city, you go there and you drink. Like, I like to walk in and drink that. Or when I go to my local, beer bar, I try something different every time I go in there. I think that's the beauty of craft beer.
Yes.
As far as spirits, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's like, if I'm in Hawaii sitting on the beach, I'm not drinking a scotch. That feels kind of weird, you know?
Right.
Yeah. It's like I'm in Jamaica, like, oh, what kind of whiskey? Like, no, you're going to have the rum, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not like I'm not like an akavit drinker, but if I'm in Norway, like, a Scandinavian country, that's what I'm drinking. If I'm in the cognac region of France, that's all I want to have. I don't want to have anything other. I don't want to have any rum there. I'm drinking cognac. So, I don't really have a go-to. I do really like rum, and I do really like whiskey. But I also like, the spice of life, which is variety. And so anytime I can mix it up, I'm probably going to go, my wife's making dinner, I'm probably going to go have an Aperol Spritz or Campari or just something, I don't know, just to mix it up, just to be crazy.
Yeah, that's getting wild, man. Aperol Spritz getting wild.
That is good. The wildest version of that was then my wife and I went to Rome on our honeymoon, and we set an alarm on our phones to go off every hour. No matter where we were, every hour we had to go and get an Aperol Spritz. So we got about 6 hours in before we're just like, okay, this is a lot of work.
Well,
it's as crazy as you can get with Aperol Spritz.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you got some more stuff to do today. I appreciate the time. There's so much more I'd like to get into. Maybe when maybe we could do another one of these down the line in person. We'll play some drinking games.
Yeah. Why don't we when I'm in the tour, because I'm going up on tour, but I'm coming home. I'm not. Yeah. Last time I did it, I was on a bus, and I was on a bus for 87 days.
Yeah,
that was
a
lot.
There.
Now, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Now we're flying in, hitting a few places, coming back. So on one of my returns, I'd love to hop back on and catch up and cover some more stuff. But that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. One last thing, I'm gonna plug real quick, and then I'm gonna ask you one last thing, and then I'll let you go. You can find Zane Lamprey at zanelamprey.com, where the tickets are for the brewery tour that we've been talking about right here on this episode. Yeah. And you can follow you at Zane Lamprey, right? Just on Instagram. And do you have a Twitter and Facebook as well?
If you want to have actual drinks with Johnny, then show up at the Hawthorne show at LA Ale Works, because I bet he's going to be there.
I will definitely be there.
Put a Buffalo nickel on it.
Yep. Very cool, man. Now, the last thing I've seen, Bert Kreischer has been on your podcast about 3 or 4 times.
Yes, of course.
You had him on before. He's the mega comedian that we know of him today.
Well stated. Yep.
I just wanted a quick little Bert story, man, because I know you guys both like to drink. I could only imagine you guys have had that.
Yeah. I'll give you a great one. So, I love to if possible, break a world record. So I broke the world record in champagne sabering. I sabered 31 bottles of champagne in a minute.
Nice.
And it was a fun one. Very expensive to train for, because you're breaking bottles of champagne. But the next one I decided to do was I wanted to make get the Guinness World Record for the longest live podcast. Wow. And at that point, I think maybe it was 25 hours. So I just needed to do 25, and I think I did about 26. Jeez. And so I had my office. I had a nice podcast set up there, and I had to go from, I think I started at 9 in the morning and went until maybe 10:30 the next day. And it's one of these situations where you really find out who your real friends are, because Bert was scheduled to be there, and he came in. I think he was scheduled to be there maybe at 5, right? So he came in at 5 o'clock. And stayed for an hour. Then he needed to go home. And then he came back at 1 a.m. with coffee. And it was like amazing. Like that is baller. That was amazing.
Yeah. That's what they call a true mensch right there. That's a mensch.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
right. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And he came in. He didn't even tell us he was doing it. Didn't ask if we wanted coffee. He brought it because he knew we wanted it. And we were powering through our all nighter, and that was really solid. I was really surprised and happy, and that was that's the kind of guy he was or is. That was a fun one. And it was at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
We were just like, oh God. And by the way, we had to have like an attorney there and like third party people that we didn't know, like staying there to sign affidavits for Guinness World Records, whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so we had all this stuff going on, but we were just like fading. And at 5, it was like, guys, I don't know if I can do it. Like, and we were talking about it in the show. Like,
of course, that's real life.
And my buddy, Yul Spencer, a comedian, comes in with, you remember the guy from Revenge of the Nerds? Was it like Lamar Latrell or whatever?
Yeah.
He had the javelin.
Yeah.
Whatever. So these guys come in with coffee at like 5 a.m. Again, same thing. Like hey, we're here to support you, whatever. Because people could listen to it live when they're driving in and whatever. And it was amazing. There was a lot of great people that came in to support us, like during that podcast, and it was fantastic. And the end of the story is that my assistant, that was the guy putting all of it together, including the video of the whole thing, whatever, lost it.
No.
Lost the files, like deleted them or whatever.
No.
So I never got the official Guinness plaque world record.
Well, now you're going to have to do it again. Now you're going to have to do it again. To let me know. I'll bring the coffee.
There we go.
I got your back.
Done deal. Done. Perfect.
Well, yeah.
Why don't you do it? You do it. I'll bring you coffee.
No, I'm not doing anything for 5 hours. Just ask my wife. But but thanks again, man. Everyone go to ZaneLamprey.com. And we'll stay in touch, man. Oh, go check out these beers too, man. Cheers, everybody. Until next time, as always. And that's going to do it for this episode of Drinks with Johnny. Thanks to Zane for being on the show. Thanks to you guys for being here. Make sure you subscribe right here to the YouTube channel. You could also find some extra content on the audio side and sign up for our Discord. Where I'm going to be hopping on at least once a week. I'll probably be on there just hanging out with you guys in the chat room. So head over to drinkswithjohnny.com. As I said so many times, make sure on all your socials you're sharing us. Leave a comment down below. Having so much fun with this, guys. But I guess that's it for now, and then I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.